this one. So we have our guides laid out. We've used our rulers to position our elements on the screen. And now let's grab an image we can use. Not very inspiring, are they? In fact, they're pretty hideous to me if I'm being truthful about this. No, it's not good enough, is it? Let's go bigger. Obviously, don't do this for your website. You're going to find your own pictures for yours, aren't you? You wouldn't possibly cheat like I'm doing. Oh God, they really are bad, aren't they? This is what the world really thinks of us. The library, that'll do. It's got some green in it. Okay, so let's put that there. And which is now there, of course. So let's drag this onto the canvas. Okay, and we'll resize. And then we'll have to crop this, I think, to fit in. Okay. Snap to rulers. Right, there we are. And so now I'm going to use the crop tool. Yeah, okay, apply. I'm going to use the crop tool and just crop it down to fit to the guides. There we are. So now I've got an image which fits perfectly into the bounds. So I've stretched it and distorted it and done what I want, and I've fixed it in the bounds. And what you'll notice is every time I add something new to my drawing, I get an extra layer created in the layers palette. So I've now got this layer and I've got a background. If I pick this one up and drag it down, I've now reordered the layers. So I've now got the two different layers. So I think what we need to do now is have something across here, don't we? Some form of box to put the text in. Now there's a couple of ways you can do it. One way is you can use the selection tool, rectangle select. You can create the selection, you can get the paint pot tool, you can pour some paint in and create a layer that way. We are not going to do that. We're going to use the shapes tool. Come on. Oops. Okay, so I have a rectangle shape. So I'm going to. It's gone behind. That's better. There's my rectangle shape. Let's just get rid of that nasty roundy corner there. There we are. So I put a shape on here. The advantage of doing it this way is you can control different things like shadows, fill colour, there we are, nice little blue tint there. And I've got a bit of a drop shadow, I've got a stroke going here, and there's a nice little place where I can put the graphics. Another handy little tool is translucency. I can change the opacity of my layers. Remember that was another feature of the latest web designs. Play with opacities. So I can now position my layer over the top like that and change the opacity of the layers. Okay, fonts. Obviously, you know what font you're going to use because you've done your design. So let's have a look at. Oh God, that's horrible. Let's make this a bit more sensible. Okay. There we are. And I've put a graphic, I've put some text on there. So as you can see, I can very quickly mock up a design. Now, the next question is colours. Have you guys chosen the colours you want to use? Have you made a choice on colours? Let me show you a little tip. Anyone come across Adobe Cooler? Yeah, used it before? Anyone not used it? Okay, I'll give you a quick overview. It's really cool, in fact. Basically, what we want to do is pick some colours out of one of the images. So if we've got an image that we like, so for example the library there, what I want to try and do is pick some colours out of the image that we like to get us a nice range to use on our website. Now, what I can do on this one, I can use a colour picker tool. One option is use a colour picker, and I can just go across, find the colour I want, and read off these values from the tool. Does that make sense? So if I pick a grey colour like that, if you look at the RGB values, that's the red component, the green component, and the blue component. So because it's a grey colour, the red, the green, and blue are approximately the same levels. If I go to a very white piece of the design, you can see there's not much difference. But what you do notice is we've got letters and numbers there, haven't we? See, we haven't got just numbers. We've got letters and numbers. So if I change this around a bit, do that, I've got numbers. See, and these are out of 255. So that's the amount of red out of 255. Where 255 is completely red saturated, and 0 is no red at all. So if I go over a reddish bit of wall here, you'll see, look, the red's shot up to 225. The green's about half the red value, and there's a tiny bit of blue in there. If I go to green down here, you can see let's find the proper green there somewhere. You can see I've got lots of green. I've got a bit of red and a bit of blue in there. So by mixing the red, green and blue components together, you get the colours. Now, there are two ways you can measure colours. You can use a decimal scale, okay, so numbers, base 10 numbers, which is what we've got here, or we can use a hexadecimal scale, which is out of 16. So if I hover over a number like this, each of those digits goes from 0 to F. So basically that 6 on the side is the number 6. The B is 0, so 9. So 0, 1, 2, 9. Then 10 is A. 11 is B. So that's 16 to the power of 11. That makes sense. We use hex for one very good reason, because 255 fits nicely into 2 digits. It always fits in exactly 2 digits. Okay, because 255 you can divide by 16 quite nicely. So what I've done there is I've picked out my colours, and I need to record those values. So let's lock that in place. I can go copy colour as text, and I've got the colour I can use in my code. So let's use that. If you're in a graphics package, however, you can do that from within the graphics package. So let's go back in here. Let's pick the font, and I'm going to pick a colour. So show colours, and I can use this colour picker and pick out one of the colours from there. And when you've got a colour you like, you can simply grab the colour and drop it into the favourites. And what you're looking for in your web design is about 5 colours. You're looking for 2 quite dark colours, quite dark tints for things like text and so on. Looking for 2 rather pale tints. So for example, on this one, I picked the sky colour, didn't I? Quite a pale sky colour. And you're looking for one sort of mid-tint. So 5 colours is perfect for the website. You don't want to go beyond that. So what other tools have we got? Have you come across masking before? Gradient masking, that's a really cool feature. We're going to do gradient mask on our graphic here. So I'm going to add a mask to it, and you can see it's created a little mask tool here. And what this is doing, this is an alpha, this is a transparency mask. So I'm now going to take a gradient tool there, and if I draw a gradient across the image, you see what's happening. What I've done is where it's very white, where the colour's white in my gradient, it's transparent. Where it's black, it's opaque. So by changing the levels of grey, levels of black and white and grey, I can create a translucent image. And then what I can do, I can overlay it on some textures, for instance. Let's do that. Let's put the background layer back in place. Let's see what we can do. So I've got a background layer here. I'm going to hide these graphics, and I'm going to create a texture on here. Where's it gone? Effects. That'll do for the time being. Now, if I put the graphic back on the top, can you see how the colours are now showing through? Now, this is important because when you build your design up, let's put the shapes and the text back on there. When you build your design up into a website design, you're going to build this website in layers. So, for example, the background of your website is going to be one image or tiled image. Then you're going to overlay different images on the top, different layers on top of each other to build the website up. And if you can use transparency for effect, then you can just really quite nice designs. Quite like that. That's worked out. For a random bit of clicking, that doesn't look too bad at all, does it? It's sort of yes. Okay, I'll leave that one. I think that's good. But we haven't done the background here, have we? We haven't done anything about the overall background. So I'm going to create another layer, and I'm going to do a nice fill. Just as the colour's gone. Just anything for the time being. Okay, just come back down a bit. Why is that? Okay, image, canvas. Canvas isn't big enough. Right, so I've done my design, but I haven't made the canvas big enough to see it. So image, canvas size, and I'm going to blow the canvas up by about to about 1,000, close to 200, and about 1,000. That's better. I've got some space to work on now. So there we are. Put the background image in. You know what I did? I cropped the wrong bit down. That's my problem, didn't I? Image, crop. That's more like it. No, I did do it right. Okay, so what we can do now. Let's choose the right layer. Tiles, don't want tiles. Let's have a generator. Go away. Okay, generator, don't like that. Let's pick any old colours for this. Okay, that looks pretty hideous, doesn't it? God, that looks horrible. Okay, you see the idea though, you can apply textures for the backgrounds. Right, any other design features which you want to implement, which I haven't talked about at the moment? This is obviously a very simple home page. Buttons. Okay, let's create some buttons. So this is my home page. Now, this is the clever bit about the website design. Once I've got the first page, I can group my layers together and I can build multiple pages in the same document. So your job is to produce all your pages in one Photoshop file, a single file. So let's have a go at doing a different layer. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the university grad, the shape and the graphic. I'm going to put them in a group. You see that? I'm now going to group those in, and I can hide the group. So now I can start building my next page on top of the same template. So what should we do for the next one? Let's have some buttons in here. Let's have some buttons across the bottom here. So what I'm going to do to build buttons, I'm going to use my shapes tool here. Where's it gone? Okay, I can build simple buttons like that. But what I'm going to do instead, I'm going to build some nice flat buttons. So let's reset the coordinates. There we are. Now 0, 0 is there. I know I've got 800 that way, so I'm going to have 200, 200, 200 and 200. 4 buttons across the bottom of the screen. So 200. I'm going to zoom in a bit, I think. 200. 400. Oh, come on. No. Right. Right, hell with it. Right, 600%. I should be able to get 400 now. Yes, all right. Okay, so I've now got 3 buttons. I could do one more, and 600. Please work. No. Yes, there we are. Right. So I've now got space for 4 buttons across the bottom here. Now with a button, there's 3 states your button can have. You can have a rollover state, okay, where the mouse moves over the button. There's the unrollover state, and then there's the click state, you know, when someone presses down on the button. So when you do a button design, you actually got to come up with 3 different designs, 3 different colours, 3 different styles. So I'm going to show you the simple way of doing this. So I'm going to create 4 buttons. That do snap to the grid. There we are. Or 4 buttons. But I'm going to show, in those 4 buttons, I'm going to show both the states. I'm going to show the up and the over. So let's put some text on this one. Okay. Let's choose home. 96 is a tad excessive. That's not too bad. Position that one. Oh, really? What's happened there? It's gone. There. So once I've got those, I can start playing with the colours and the textures to build myself 2 buttons. So if I want this button to stand out a bit, I could change the. Because that's what the problem is. Look, it's give me 1 button there. That's better. And I bet the same problems happen with that one. It's stretched rather than copied. That's better. Right, we've now got some buttons to play with. That's not quite lined up. Right, if you have this problem, you see I've got the problem where the 3 buttons don't quite distribute properly. I can select the 3 graphics, and normally I can distribute them. Where's it gone there? View. No, distribute horizontally is available in these things. No, okay, I have to do it manually. So there's the problem. That first one. Do. Right, so I've got my buttons, and I can now start to put some styles on them. So I could change the background colour of that one, change the fonts. Where's the font colour gone? So I'll invert the colours a bit. I'll put that colour for the font. Okay, and start to build my design up, like so. Now, question. You create your 4 pages, okay, using the graphics package of your choice. What are we going to do with the page once we've finished it? What's the purpose of doing this detailed mock-up? Yeah?
To cut it up.
To cut it all up again, absolutely. So we're going to cut this up and create some graphics. Now before we do that, I'm going to talk to you about the different sorts of graphics we can use on web pages, and with some demonstrations. I'm going to just hide that. In fact, I'm going to group those together. That one, that one, that one, that one, that one, that one. Put those in a group, hide that group, show that group. Okay, so what I want to do is use this as an example because I've got some transparency going on here. Now the idea is, once we've created this design, we're going to use this to build our real website. And the idea is, we're going to build a website in boxes, in blocks. Okay, we call them divs, basically rectangular shapes that we place on the page. And we can put a colour inside the shape to give it some colour, or we can take a graphic and place a graphic inside the shape. So this background, for instance, this is all just plain colour. So what we can do with this one, the background, we can just pick the colour out and use the colour in our code. But this graphic causes us problems. If I hide those layers, can you see that this graphic has a transparent background to it? Well, it hasn't until I put this on. Okay. So what we're going to do, we're going to slice this image into pieces of graphics that we can then reuse and assemble in our web page. And to do that, we use a knife tool, like so. And we simply draw around the different parts of the shape. Now, for example, that bit there, okay, that's my first slice. I'm going to chop that piece out as a graphic. This next piece, you see how the guides are useful here. The guides allow me to select things accurately. There's my second slice, and there's my third slice. Okay, so I've now taken 3 big slices out of this design. And each slice we're going to export in a given format. So for example, this one is chosen a PNG image. What I'm going to do, I'm going to change them all to GIF. Now, there are, I suppose, 3 different formats you need to be aware of when you're designing websites. 3 different file formats. The first one is JPEG. You've come across JPEG, I'm sure, haven't you? Yeah. What's JPEG good at producing? Sort of pictures. Camera pictures. So when you've got lots of textures, photographic images. JPEG is brilliant for photographic images. The downside of JPEG is you can compress a JPEG image, but it looks pretty horrible. So let me take this top image. I'm going to go for a JPEG, and I'm going to crank down the quality. Now I don't think you can see because the screen's not that good either. Anyone see any problems with that image? Do you want me to crank it up again so you can see the difference? Zoom in. I'm going to crank the quality up. In particular, look where you've got sharp edges and logos. You see the Coventry University logo on the side of the building? Now watch. What's happening? It's distorting. What's happening is there's 2 values for each pixel which we've got to store. There's the luma value, which is the amount of light. When we discussed this in the last week, didn't we? And there's a chroma value, which is the colour. What's happening here is multiple pixels are sharing the same chroma, the same colour values. So you get these rectangular boxes all over the image. I mean, look at there. It's quite nasty down there. When you've got fine detail, and when you've got sharp edges, you look there. Look, can you see what I'm talking about now? They're sharing the same colour values, and when you get to edges, it goes absolutely. But you can actually see how many pixels are sharing the same colour, can't you? You get these big boxes appearing on the image, and when you get to this bit, look, the whole image starts dissolving into nothing. If I go the other extreme, okay, I've got some aliasing issues around there, but it's not bad, is it? The trick with JPEG images is you crank down the quality until it looks bad, and then you bring it up a tiny bit. So if I crank the quality down until I feel this image is starting to look a bit there, whoa, it's gone, look straight away. You see 66%. That logo is just horrible. But if I bring it back a tiny bit, I'm going to need 100% on this, aren't I? Look at it. There's too much detail going on there. Let's find a different part of the image. Bricks, horizontal lines. They've gone, haven't they? Completely disappeared. There are no bricks anymore. Look, it's just pink concrete. So with this particular image, we've got big problems. We can't compress it with JPEG. The tiniest compression we attach to it, we get these artifacts appearing, and it ruins the image. So JPEG may not be the best option for this image. This is going to give us a 232K image for that top slice. Okay, that's the number you need to bear in mind. As I bring the quality down a tiny bit, look, the file size drastically plummets. So if you find an image that compresses well, excuse me, you can really you can really reduce the file size using JPEG compression. So the question is, why would we want to compress our images? Why do we want to compress these images?
Load up the website.
Yes. You want people to view your website quickly, don't you? You want when they click on the link, the website appears. If you've got some big graphics to use, the big graphics on your web page, it's going to take a while for those graphics to appear. The average attention span for a web page is 8 seconds. If the page isn't there in 8 seconds, they'll click the back button, go back to Google search and look somewhere else. And that's your problem. You've got to really get their attention quickly. So this image I've chosen, well, it looks really nice. It's a nightmare for compression. It's just not going to compress nicely. So let's look at alternative compression. Let's look at GIF. And straight away, whoa, what's happened to that image? Look at this bit. It's not just fading. What's happened to the colour? This colour's disappearing, isn't it? And that's because the best file size, a GIF image has 256 colours only. That's all you can have. If I drop to, say, 16 colours, yeah, it's horrible, isn't it? 8 colours. I mean, look at it. You can't. It's unusable. The problem with this image is there's too much subtle detail going on, isn't there? There's lots of very fine details which don't reproduce very well. What sort of images would GIF be very good for?
Little small, low quality things.
Yeah, or
like buttons or something.
Buttons would be quite good for buttons, wouldn't it? When you've only got a few colours. It's the number of colours that's important. If your image only has a few colours, GIF format's great. Let me just show you an example. Let's go to this part here, the second slice. See this bit here? I've compressed that to, let's go to GIF again. 8 colours is no good, but look, if I go to 32 colours, that's acceptable, isn't it? That's really not bad at all. And that file size is 42K. So if you've got lots of colours, you want to use a JPEG format. If you've got only a few colours, then a GIF format is quite good. It's very, very tight compression. The difference between a GIF and a JPEG is a GIF image is lossless. Once you've saved the image, you can get the image back. With JPEG, once you've lost this detail, it's gone forever. Yeah, you can't get it back. So let's choose a different format for this one. First slice, let's go for PNG. Now that looks better, doesn't it? PNG image looks so much better. The thing with PNG, it's quite a big file size. Okay, so PNG creates quite big files, but they're not compressed. They're very good quality images. Do anyone have better quality than PNG for photographs and images? Anyone come across any better formats? Not quite. Anyone come across RAW?
Yeah.
RAW? Yeah? What's RAW?
We'll say brute image, basically.
Yeah. Every single pixel has all the information in it. So a RAW picture can be 5 times bigger than a JPEG picture. Unfortunately for you with RAW pictures, even if you want to use them, I'm not aware that all the browsers even support RAW at the moment. So even if you photographed in RAW, you'd have to change to a different format. So the idea is you have to choose your format with care. There are a couple of other formats. There's WebP, which is a Google format, which really very few people use. And the other one is PNG indexed. And PNG indexed is very similar to a GIF. It's like an open source version of GIF with the same limitations. Look. So you've got 3 file formats to choose from, and really that narrows down to 2. You've got JPEG file format if you've got photographic style images, and you've got GIF format if you've got very low numbers of colours. However, PNG is very, very important. It supports one thing that no one else supports. And let me show you. I'm going to take slice 1. I'm going to export it as a PNG. Export for web. Stick it on the desktop. Right, so there's my images. to show this better, I need to. What it's doing, it's keeping the transparency. So, for example, if I go for, let's find another image in here. I've done the Coventry University logo, and I've exported it in different qualities and different formats. So here's the logo in large pixelated. Where has it gone? There's the logo in the JPEG format. Okay, so there's no transparency information at all, is there? It's just flat colours. It's just plain colours. I then turn it into a transparent logo. Okay, and because I've said this is a PNG image, I've retained all that transparency information there, which means I can overlay this now. In fact, I'm going to do just that. I'm going to overlay this onto my graphic. So let's take this university logo large, overlay it over the top, and look at that. I mean, it is a bit large. It's a bit excessively large, isn't it, if we're being honest about this, but never mind, it proves the point. Perhaps could have shrunk it down a bit before we started. That's why, there's the bottom of it gone. Okay, small screen like I've got, it's no good at all. Let's just make, here we are, let's make it a bit smaller. So if you want to have a logo on your page and overlay it on top of things, you can, the only choice you've got is PNG. It's absolutely enormous. Here we are. So I've now got a PNG image, and the PNG image supports transparency, so I can overlay this over the top of other things. So I could lose that text, couldn't I? Done. Okay. Where's it gone? Group 1. Let's put this logo over the top. There we are. So that logo is now transparent logo on top of my image. Okay, question. Okay. What other techniques do you need to know for this? What other techniques do you need to create your website layouts? Anything? Or we kind of sorted? Yes.
Oh, I meant probably further down, but how to put them all into like a HTML page.
Right. Next assignment, we're going to do just that. But basically, the way it works is you create divs in HTML. You position those boxes on the page. Then you put these, just set these as background images, and we're going to use that technique quite a bit. Anything else? Drop shadows. Okay, let's do a drop shadow. Let's make this bigger so we can see what we're doing.
Make it
shiny. Gloss layers. Yes, we can. Let me just see why this isn't appearing. Right, where's it? Oh, there it is. Okay, let's do drop shadow first. Then we'll do sort of something shiny. I need to import it again. It's gone small. Lost quality, haven't I? There. Right. Let's drag that in again. Let's have something a bit more sensible. There we are. Phoenix logo. Pretty safe. Right. Okay. So small. So there's my logo. Nice and big, so we can do a drop shadow. Now, when you're working with these things, I'll cover drop shadows and also cover how we change colours of things. The colour of that. You see this particular logo? I'm not sure I like the blue. I think it's a bit Coventry. So what I'm going to do is change that. So I'll center that. Let's click on OK. Right. So let's have a go at replacing the colours, of changing that colour of that logo. So what we do is we go to Edit and we select the colour we want to change. So the colour I want to select is that blue, and then I can move the slider. Whoa. Okay, let's get rid of everything else for the time being. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. And that. And that. There we are, that's better. Right. So let's start again. So I use the colour selector. I pick the colour I want. Okay. Live demos always fraught with difficulties. Let's try a third time. Okay, we select the colour. No. That's cheating. Select colour. I pick the colour and I change the radius. I think it's still going to do it. Right, now can you see I've selected the colour, I've changed the tolerances, and I've now selected that whole shape. So what I can now do, if I create another layer over the top of that, okay, the selection remains, but the layer is now on top, which means I can paint into that layer and I can do all sorts of fun things. Let's do multicoloured Phoenix on this one. Let's pick a ridiculous colour. Ridiculous colour. So right, not blue, green. Yeah, and you can start to play. And when you've selected something, only where you've selected will the colour get applied. So I can do all sorts of things with this, like kiddie colouring box, isn't it? Let's choose khaki colour. There we are. Let's have a. Okay. So I can just mess with this and colour things in. And when I've finished, I can deselect. And I've now got another image with all these colours in. It's actually quite good. Quite good. Let's pick another daft colour. There you are. Colour up to the edge. Make sure I haven't got any blue left over. So do that. Get rid of. Make sure the blue's gone, because obviously that's the background. That's the colour behind. If you just want to get rid of the blue so you can see what you're doing, if I untick that, you can see immediately where the colours are, can't you? Let's pick one more colour and just change this. No, not blue. We don't want blue. Let's have a red. So there's no colour there. And once I've got rid of the selection, you'll see how it's going to appear. It's just a very nice way of it. It's very accurate. Very accurate. Now, is there any? Let's see where I find I missed something out. No, it looks good. So if I now deselect, okay. So what you can do, you can import a shape into your design, not because you want the colours, but because you want the outline, the shape of it. So you could drag something in, select it, remove it, and then work with the selection. So let's do a drop shadow on this. That's the next thing to do. So I keep the selection. I create a new layer as well, and an extra layer, and I get the paint tool and I choose black. Okay, so I've now got a black Phoenix and I've got a coloured Phoenix. So let's see how this works. So I'll get rid of the selection, I bring the coloured one to the front, and then the black one, I missed a few bits out. I drop the offset a bit, so I move the black one around. I then do a blur, what's called a Gaussian blur. Like so. And if still too strong, I bring the transparency, opacity of that down just a smidgen. And I've now got a nice drop shadow effect. Okay, does that make sense? Nice flat, nice, and it gives you a bit of depth to it. Now, the problem with the flat designs is, if you look at who's got iOS 7, okay, you know those flat logos, they're not flat. Get your phone out, look carefully at the bottom edge of them, okay? Because this alternative to drop shadow. Get your phone out, have a look at the iPhone icons, and look at the bottom edge of the icon. They're not quite flat. Are they flat? The bottom edge. Yes, they've got a little tiny bit of gradient at the bottom. This is another little tip you can use. If you want a flat design and you just put flat colours on it, it looks really boring. So what we're going to do is show you very quickly, because our time is running out, because we started late, how we can achieve this effect. So, if I just draw, sorry guys, if I draw a shape and I do a fill, didn't mean that, extra layer. Right, I do a fill. What I have to do to get a nice effect is I can apply a little gradient to the bottom edge of that, a dark to light gradient. And this is just, where's the gradient window gone? Show gradients. Let's take that one and let's pick, so for the light colour I want this colour, and for the dark colour I want a slightly darker tint, so I'll just very quickly choose something like, or even darker than that, there we are. And all we do, one way around, is we just add a tiny subtle drop shadow to the bottom edge of the box. It's not quite the right tint there, but you can see the general idea. So if you go for this flat design, don't be tempted to go pure flat. You need a little bit at the bottom just to show the extra, show a bit of gradient at the bottom. So has that helped at all? Give you some ideas. It was just literally supposed to be just an impromptu walkthrough, playing around with some of the tools and the techniques. I'll delete that because it was rubbish. And